Hello, I'm Jewel Canty, and I'm here with Michael Ray at Training Concepts in Columbia, South Carolina. He's going to talk about IT careers today, so we'll go ahead and get started. Michael, what got you into IT careers?
Thank you for coming by our institution today and learning more about IT. Like you said, my job here is the Program Operations Manager here at Training Concepts. So your first question, what led me to get into a career of IT? It was just because I had an interest in technology as a kid, and I knew I wanted to get into something that involved like computers, science, math, science fiction. I just loved everything about technology, even though it was a different state. When I was a kid, computers were just kind of getting onto the scene. Mm-hmm. So the personal computer was kind of new and exciting, and I just knew I wanted to build a career around it.
Right. Awesome. Well, how long have you been at Training Concepts?
I've been here for quite some time. I've been here about 15 years.
Wow. And what does Training Concepts do?
Training Concepts, so we are a IT career trade school. So we help people get trained and certified, which means they pass skills-based exams to demonstrate different skills in IT. So get trained, certified, and employed.
Right. Awesome. What do you like most about IT?
Oh gosh, it's a big one. A big open-ended question. I just like that it's a field that is constantly changing, constantly mutating and growing, and there's always something new and groundbreaking and fascinating around the corner. It's never the same day twice.
Each day is different.
Yes.
Right. What do you like least about working in IT?
What do I like least about IT? I think sometimes people get to where they take IT for granted and get frustrated by technology.
Right.
So, for example, when you pick up your cell phone and like, oh, dadgummit, this connection's so slow, or this app takes 5 seconds to open, that I'm used to being instantaneous, is that the patience sometimes for learning and using these devices, which are unfathomably complicated to fully learn and understand, humans just begin to take it for granted and get frustrated with it.
Right.
And we have to deal with them being frustrated with technology.
How can someone get started in an IT career?
Basically, on a very high level, you just have to acquire marketable skills.
Okay.
And then you have to prove that you have those skills and show that you know how to apply them in real world scenarios. So you can do that by getting credentials. College is a credential, such as getting an associate degree or a bachelor degree. And then they have certifications.
Right.
Certifications are not by a college, they're recognized by the entire industry. So if you can demonstrate you have certain skills with Microsoft or Cisco or cloud or cybersecurity or troubleshooting a cell phone or any kind of lots of different skills, IT is a vast spectrum, and you just need to show potential employers that will be giving you living wages for your talents which of those colors in the spectrum you are good at, and you can walk in and be able to use those skills in real world scenarios.
So with those credentials, would you describe that similar like you would go to get a heating and air certification? You could get a degree in it, or you could get a certification.
Yeah, I will say this, that college wasn't really built for the IT industry. College was around long before the IT industry became a thing, and it isn't really super well suited to IT for some regards. For example, I already mentioned one thing I liked about IT is it's always constantly changing.
Right.
Always constantly upgrading. And The thing about getting a college degree is you don't have to have continuing education to keep it current. So if you have a degree like I do in IT that I earned back before kind of the age of certifications, if you don't show that you have relevant experience, the college degree in IT becomes a little bit obsolete after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And it's still on my resume, but if I'm going to interview for a job today in IT, and I say, here's my degrees that I earned some odd years ago in the 1990s, they're going to say, okay, that's great. What have you done recently in IT? Okay. Show me some current certifications, which and all certification is verification that you have a specific skill set that is third-party verified through standardized testing. So if you're going to be someone who repairs cell phones, somebody who repairs laptops, there's degrees that you can go to get generalized in IT, but they don't really specialize and dig down in any one area. You're kind of trainable in IT, but you don't really have a skill set coming right out of college. But if I go get like a CompTIA A+ certification or a Linux certification or an Apple or a Google certification, employers know exactly where my skill sets are and how I can be helpful.
So for example, if a student goes to the University of South Carolina and gets a 4-year computer science degree, would they have an advantage over somebody with a CompTIA certification?
There are still some companies that just like to see a 4-year degree of any kind.
Right.
Blue Cross Blue Shield was known for that for a long time.
Okay.
And even Blue Cross is scaling back on that requirement of having to have a 4-year degree.
Okay.
They are also recognizing that IT has evolved into a certification-driven, skills-based industry, and it's really more of a trade. It's really more of a white-collar, well-paid trade that you can go get certified, prove your skill sets, and then go towards jobs in the field of IT that match those skill sets, and then build your career from there. Degrees have a place, of course, in IT. They can help you get into management. If you get into IT and you want to move towards IT management, a degree really helps.
Right.
Or maybe if it's a very specialized type of degree, like it's a degree only in certain type of cybersecurity or only in certain type of development, of software development. If it's very specialized, it can help you. But degrees tend to help you advance or get promoted into IT versus help you get into the IT career field.
Right.
And that's a little bit of a misnomer. IT certifications are really great to help you get started in your career, and degrees can only help you get advanced. Where the frustration comes in is when people get that degree and they start realizing they're losing out on jobs with people who have baseline certifications that it took them maybe several months to obtain versus 4 years.
Right. What is the minimum training somebody needs to go into IT?
That's a good question. At the end of the day, in IT, the people that make the decisions for hiring, what do they really care about? They want to know that you can walk in to their organization and help support their IT needs, whatever it may be, without a long, big training ramp-up period.
Yes.
So the basic entry point for most organizations is some type of technical support role, right? Every company uses networks, every company uses hardware and software, right, nowadays, and they need some type of staff to support all the employees that use that technology, right? So that's called technical support, help desk, client support, different names for it, but basically you're walking in there and you're helping all of the employees use the technology. So that involves typically certification in computer hardware, software, of course networking. Nobody uses any hardware device without being connected to an internet, right? Wirelessly or with a wire. So if you at least have fundamental hardware, software, and networking, and nowadays you really have to know something about security at every level of IT now. It's not just a specialization role, and when you're just in a technical support role, you don't have to know anything about IT security. You have to know something about IT security at every level. So fundamental hardware, software, fundamentals of how all these devices and information is shared, which is networking, and fundamental understanding of IT security.
Okay.
If you have those skill sets, those 4 skill sets under your belt, you'll be a resource to most organizations that need some type of technical support, and that can be achieved in 3 to 4 months if somebody is going full time.
Right.
Going to a school like ours to earn IT certifications, there's not a lot of, shall we say, fluff, right? You're not taking undergraduate courses, you're not learning about psychology, you're not writing English papers, you're not trying to solve quadratic equations. Contrary to popular demand, you don't have to be a math whiz or a science whiz. You just have to be very intuitive. You have to understand how things are how to troubleshoot, which is basically the fancy word for trying things, learning from it, and trying again until it works. So you go right to the heart of the matter. First day of class, you're going right into computer hardware. In other words, you're learning things that you will have to do on your job.
Right.
Directly, physically, 100% translation. There's no, we trimmed all the fat out. So if you were to boil down, for example, even a 4-year degree in IT to just the courses that employers really want you to have, it might be a much shorter path than 4 years.
Yeah. A 4-year degree requires some English and some math and psychology and all those things.
Yes, all of those things are not required in IT. They just want to know that you can come in and help them with their IT needs.
Do students that complete IT training have a lot of student debt?
That's a good question. Good question. The average student comes to Training Concepts, and it takes about $10,000.
Okay.
They can go into more advanced training, but to become employable, to get certifications in all the areas that I just mentioned, you can become ready to be employed after about $10,000 of training.
Okay.
And that means within a 6-month time span, you're ready to start your career.
Right.
So there are ways that you can get a loan for $10,000, of course, but compared to the type of debt that you will accumulate nowadays for what it costs to attend a college or university, that will be very small. But with amounts such as, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, you're not looking at a life-changing type of debt.
No.
Right, and most of the time you can earn that and pay that back within the first year. Right.
Are there ways to get assistance with paying for that $10,000?
There are. I mean, there's always school loans. If you're unemployed, you can go through different state and federal job programs to help get assistance to paying for tuition as long as you agree to go get a job in that field. We work with a variety of different sources. One of them is through the Department of Labor, through SC Works in South Carolina. Depending what state you're in, they call it something different. But they have programs that will pay for your training if you're unemployed, and in some cases severely underemployed.
Right.
And that will pay for your training with the purpose of completing it and going to work.
Right. So, long story short, you won't have a lot of debt to go into IT.
Yes. Compared to, I saw recently an analysis of your financial breakdown after going to school at college for 4 years out of high school and going to an IT trade school and getting a job. Within 6 months, you're ahead of the game. You've had 3.5 years of experience, and you've long since paid off your debt and you've earned tens of thousands of dollars, right? And over and above that. So compared to college, where you finish a 4-year degree, and of course you're in the hole, right? You have tens of thousands or sometimes 6-figure worth of debt, and you haven't any guarantee of even getting a job.
Right.
We all know that half the people that get certifications, half the people that get degrees have a very difficult time ever putting that degree to use in a practical job.
What is the pay range like for IT careers?
Well, for the whole spectrum, of course, you can do extremely well in IT. If you're starting out, like your very, very first job in some type of support role, they call that desktop support, help desk, client support. The national average is around $50,000. We don't quite hit that in South Carolina, where our cost of living here is a little bit lower.
Right.
So what you might make in Atlanta, Georgia, for example, or in
LA,
Los Angeles, Chicago, any major metropolitan area, even Charlotte, which is very not very far up, is more for the same job than what you might make in the Midlands of South Carolina.
Right.
So it tends to be in the low 40s.
Yeah.
In the Midlands of South Carolina.
And so we're talking about.
But you can go way up into 6 figures really quick in IT after just a few years.
Right. After 6 months of training in IT, you could expect around 40 something per year.
Yes.
And you might be about 19 years old.
If you come right out of college. Out of high school, excuse me. Yeah.
Pretty good for a 19-year-old.
The prospects of income are very, very good.
Can somebody complete all of their IT training remotely?
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
The long answer is it's still probably better to come in person if you don't have any experience whatsoever with some of the components.
Okay.
But things are moving more and more away from dealing with the hardware and more dealing with software and more dealing with virtualized environments. So I'd say the quality of education you get remotely is better now than what it used to be, because of what you learn can be virtualized in environments that can be simulated remotely. So it's easier to learn about what you need to do on the job remotely than it ever was before.
Right.
Even though, you still may lack some tangible experience working with some of the different components, hardware, software, working with a router or a switch or a computer component.
Does Training Concept offer 100% virtual training?
We do. We offer both. We offer a blended format. You can come in person or you can come online. Most of the time, we have an instructor in our classroom and he's teaching to both. He's teaching people in front of him while there are people remotely attending the class.
Wow.
And there's cameras in the room and they're able to fully participate in the class.
Are there a lot of remote IT careers?
Yes is the answer to that question. And that is growing.
Yeah.
Every month there's more and more opportunities. It's just growing. The pandemic really accelerated that trend.
Yes.
Not just because the IT people couldn't come to work because of the pandemic, but once companies went remote to just stay in business, right? They realized that pretty much everything that an IT professional needed to do, at least the vast majority of it, could be done remotely.
Right.
So why would they need to pay for more office space? Why would they need to pay for transportation or travel or to other benefits and force other people to pay for things like daycare and other travel expenses, commuting to work, when it didn't improve the performance of them on the job?
Right.
So there's a vast array of careers and job roles that you can do remotely in IT.
How quickly have you seen some of your students go into a job after completing training at Training Concepts?
Well, the quick answer to that is the expectation for students that come through our IT vocational programs is within 180 days having a paid professional position. Being a paid professional, even if it's a paid internship, right? Or a paid contract to hire, or some type of apprenticeship in a paid capacity. That is not just possible, that's the expectation.
Okay.
That when you finish our program, that you will have viable offers for employment within 180 days of completion.
6 months.
Yes.
Last two questions. For students interested in going into an IT career, what would you say are the fundamental skills to be successful?
Well, I touched on that a little bit already as far as what makes them most marketable. One thing I haven't talked about is development or programming or coding, right? Some people think that's kind of all IT is.
Okay.
That it's just a bunch of coders sitting around just pounding on keyboards and cubicles all day long. You know, right? Some kind of startup, and they're just like coding in Python and Java and all kinds of different programming languages. And yes, of course, that is a significant component of IT, but it's actually a small component compared to all the other jobs. The network analysts, the network engineers, the cyber people, the cloud people, it's just the basic network administrators, all of the support analysts, desktop support help. None of those involve coming in every day and just coding, right? So let's just dispel that myth right there that you don't have to be a coder or be good at math and science really to get into the field of IT. Right? If you learn how to maintain and troubleshoot and upgrade computer hardware, phones, tablets, laptops, and workstations, that's a very, very marketable skill. Every organization uses them.
Right.
Right? Every organization has employees that must use them to do their jobs.
Our school does. Has a whole team of them.
That's right. If you can't, as an employee, walk in and you access any of your computer resources, it's very difficult to do your job. And that's what it takes if you want to get the quickest path to employment. Learn about computer hardware, computer software, operating systems, computer applications, fundamental networking, how all these devices use networks and share information across different mediums, Wi-Fi, Cat5, fiber, right? And then the fundamentals of keeping information secure using these devices and using networks, hardware, software, networking, security. Quickest path to employability and to having a skill that someone's willing to pay you a good living wage to do.
All right, and our last question, what suggestions do you have for a student that is considering an IT career path?
I would say make sure that you achieve certifications. If you have a goal or a dream or a aspiration for a college degree, I would say go down that road, achieve that. But after you're a paid professional, get into the field, start earning a living, learn more about IT from the inside. And then once you know your passion, your direction, the area of IT, again, IT is a huge spectrum.
Right.
Maybe you're an indigo guy, maybe you're a red guy, maybe you're a green guy, maybe you're chartreuse. Whatever your color is, sometimes you just don't know. You may guess at it, but you sometimes don't know what you don't know until you get into the field. Once you know what your passion, your direction is, then get a specialized degree to go down that road further or to advance into a management role into that direction. Use college for that. Most companies of any size have educational reimbursement programs to go and get degrees that will help you further inside that company. Let them pay for your degree.
Right.
And let it be specific to what you need to advance inside that career field. So I would focus on, and I'm not trying to downgrade anything about college. I love college. All my kids went to college. I went to college. And the college experience was fun thing to participate in. But sometimes that college arrangement is kind of thrust upon people. They're not ready for it yet. They don't have their direction, and they're not maybe ready for it. But those loans still accumulate.
Yes.
And maybe you had a really good time, but at the end you realize, wow, it didn't really get me as far down my career path as I anticipated. And now I don't have the fraternity parties anymore, but I got this big debt sitting over my shoulder.
And no job.
And no guarantee or anything remotely close to that as far as jobs waiting for you at the end of it. So I guess that's kind of my suggestion and my recommendation for people going into IT. And I would have suggested that to my own son, but he didn't want to go into IT. He wanted to go into something he needed college for. So he has used college to get where he wants to go.
Right.
He wanted economics and philosophy and law.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You need college for that.
Yeah.
So IT is a great thing to go get your certifications, get employed, learn about it while you're being paid as a professional, and then go back and get more specialized education to get you where you want to go in the field. And that can be done in a very short period of time, save a tremendous amount of money, and get advanced further inside that field.
So for a student going to study law, go to college. For a student going to IT, get your certification. College has a time and a place.
There's definitely a time and a place for college in IT. Use it to advance and to get yourself promoted once you've already established yourself as a paid professional.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much for the advice and the recommendations. And I think next we're going to take a tour of Training Concepts.
Well, come right on. I'll give you a peek into our facility. This is just one of our technical training classrooms here at Training Concepts. As you can see, it's not a very big classroom.
Okay.
Okay, getting kind of a snapshot there. The reason that it's a small classroom is intentional. We try to keep the student-teacher ratio under 15:1 or 10:1. So if we have a class that's larger than 10 students, there's going to be another teaching assistant in the classroom that's certified in that same exact area. So everybody gets good personal attention, and there's lots of opportunity for discussion. If you're teaching a room full of 150 people, like auditorium style classes that you may have attended, at college or other institutions, there's not a whole lot of healthy discussion between any one person and the instructor. But we like to keep the discussion flowing. It helps in the learning, so we like to keep it small. But they're also very high-tech workstations. The computers are very highly spec'd. We have fiber cable in here, so everything's extremely responsive to the internet. Because we have highly technical classes, we have multiple monitors for every student, and they don't have to bring anything with them to get the most out of the training. So this is just kind of a typical classroom here at Training Concepts. And so that's kind of one of our classrooms. We have 5 different classrooms here that we can utilize for training.
How long is a typical class at Training Concepts?
A class typically has about 3 weeks of duration, and of course a program just consists of a strategic set of classes. Mm-hmm. So if you go through a program, the program is typically going to be about 4 to 5 months in duration for an average student that's trying to get into the field.
Right.
And that is coming typically about 18 hours per week.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.